Hello, this is my KO guide on Lotus. We're going to start off on defense. And on defense, the most likely part of the map you're going to be playing on is probably A. So we're going to start with A. So I have a couple different things. I have a couple of things on A. But generally, when we play in this area with like one or two teammates, and and sometimes you want to be wanting to take this space. So I'm going to show probably the knives first. So first knife is this one. Usually you would wait like a tiny bit of time before you use this, so like 2 or 3 seconds into the round, just to help, just like make sure they get into the space. They're gonna get hit by the knife for sure. Otherwise, if you don't want them to take that space, we'll go into that soon. But if you're not aiming to contest the space on this round, I got major lag there. Then this is like what you want to do, the kind of knife you want to do. This knife is not very good because even though it does scan like a decent amount of area, it's going to get broken basically every time. There's also one knife, there's a current bug at the moment with KO where his knife lingers for about 14 seconds after detonating for some reason. So one of the knives you can do is one onto this back wall over here. So you need to aim it quite high, and it will be really hard to break. You can't break it on you have to be standing on this sort of like little raised area to actually break this one, because you literally can't see it from down here. But it will scan a less area than normal. But overall, like that one's like really good if you really want the scan to go through, or you really want the guidance to go through. And yeah, that's basically the knives for A right now. There's not really too much like for on site, and I feel like KO's one of those agents like that you really want to try and play a lot and understand like a lot of his mechanics with his flashes, and some good knives that you can throw on the fly, some good flashes you can throw on the fly, some good fragments you throw on the fly, and less about the set play. I think he does have a good set play at the start of rounds though, and that can be one of his strengths, and we're going to go over that as well. We're kind of building towards that now. So then we're going to move on to probably the flashes. So there's 2 flashes that I have that I kind of like. So you want to aim at these 3 little not arrows, leaves. And they've got like the 3 corners. You want to aim at the middle one, and you just want to run and left click, and it will detonate like just past the wall. This is really good for stopping them from getting into the area. Okay, I did that one. I threw it while standing still. And you want to do it while you want to take the space. It stops them from getting into the area instantly. And the next flash I want to show you is against this wall, or against this box. You can do you aim at the end of this flower or lotus. I call it a flower because why not? And it will detonate just over the wall, and it will detonate everyone that are kind of in this sort of area, and that I happen to be looking at it, or looking in this direction. And what that does is it's like very difficult to dodge unless they see it flying like in this sort of section. Then it's gonna detonate really fast to the opponents that are just kind of like sitting like this, right? Because they're gonna barely see it come through and blind them. You can also throw it while running as well. It does get a bit more air, so it's a bit easier to dodge for the enemy. But this is important for when you want to do a setup that I'm doing. So if you do want to take the space, we did the fragment and the space. So with this fragment, I aim it kind of like, there's like this little root here. I go stand on this back wall, and there's like this little root here, and there's like a little bit that sticks out. So I just aim at this root that sticks out and run forward and press left click. And it will go kind of in the middle majority of the time. Obviously, running ones aren't really that reliable 100% of the time, because everyone's going to throw it. Like, you might just throw it slightly differently every time. But this one isn't particularly pixel perfect. You don't need it pixel perfect really to get the value. Obviously, there is like a chance with the one I just threw that they can run and jump to this. So you want to be careful of that. Usually, you will be pairing that fragment with a fade or an Astra or something. So I won't worry too much, because they're probably going to make sure that they sit in the fragment if they have come out in that area. And we can sort of combine that together. So if we are trying to like take a main or be really aggressive on a main, I want to stop this space being taken for free, what you can do is you can combine all 3. So you want to throw the fragment, and then you'll probably knife this, and then you're going to do a flash like this, and in that meantime you're probably going to have like a neon or a jet taking this sort of area, maybe even an omen or something like that, whilst like a fade or an Astra is keeping them locked into that space, or maybe even a breach is keeping them locked into that space with your fragment, and they're being flashed. So maybe someone can use the flash, the jet, or the neon. And the knife as well is also to just find out how many people are actually there, or to silence any retaliation that may be happening with like a counter flash or something like that. You can also, you don't have to do the fragment if you don't want to, so maybe you have a raise instead. So you're going to have a raise and like an Astra or something, and you don't need to throw the fragment because the raise are going to provide the threat, so you don't need to use the fragment for like basically no reason. So because there's only going to be enough damage from the raise nade, so you're going to throw the knife, and then you can just follow with the flash, and then you'll keep the fragment for later on in the round, right? It's like mix and match, there might be some where you don't need that particular piece of util, and somewhere you do. The knife is probably pretty much always guaranteed because it's gonna silence, and silence is not like available to any other agent. Flashes may end up being, you may end up like getting replaced by Omen. Omen might decide to do a flash from here, and at which point there's no point in you actually flashing unless you actually have a good timing to reflash for the Omen that's maybe TP'd there after his flash, and then you'd flashed again, and that sort of stuff, right? So it's just a set play that KO can do. KO's got really good set plays at the start of rounds. Usually he has some on Icebox, and he's got some here. He's got some basically on every map, but those are the ones I definitely know, like through and through anyway. I don't know this one as much. I say through and through, not really. So the next place is going to be B. I don't know a huge amount of B with KO. One of the biggest things, actually, we'll go over that on attack. But on B, he doesn't really have a great knife. He has this, which isn't too bad. And then he has this to sort of see if anyone's like going up C, but as you see, it has a gap, so it's not particularly reliable. But one thing I do like about him here is if you have a plan to push, then all you have to do is just bounce a flash off this wall, and it will detonate in a really nice position where it won't blind any teammates running through, but it will blind anyone looking at this area from where the enemies will be sitting. So it's pretty good like that, and obviously this knife is pretty good at stopping people from just hiding in these areas. In this area, you'll have like a bit of knowledge if that's happening. And if maybe you get a tag and you hear someone there as well, the flash and the fragment have a very similar flight path. So you can just bounce a fragment off the wall. You will detonate in this corner, and you can like push someone out of this corner if they happen to get there at the start of the round. Next, we're going to go to C. There isn't much to say on B, to be honest. One thing, we'll just talk about Waterfall 1 second. That if you have a teammate that wants to push out here, mainly not an operator, you can just sit in this corner, aim your flash at this little corner, and then it will bounce down and flash, and it won't really blind the person here. It will blind them for a second or two, but it won't be too bad. Not a second or two. It will blind them for less than that. It'd be like 0.5 a second, or maybe even less. And they'll still be able to shoot their target pretty comfortably. And if you're actually playing on C, then you can do a knife if you wait like 2 seconds. And then this will scan a lot of people, or you don't even. You maybe wait a bit longer. Depends on how much they're countering your knife. It's just general KO things where sometimes you want to delay your knife if you've been using it at the start of the round a lot, and that sort of stuff. I think you probably also fragment the. You can also fragment this if they're getting particularly aggressive, and. There's also some flashes you can do here defensively. So there's just one flash that I've got here where I'm going to throw this flash if they try and push out, stop this wall, and it'd be really, really hard for them to dodge because it comes back down into their vision. It'd be really hard for them to dodge, and you can peek off it really nicely. And that's kind of it for defense. I'm not going to talk about his ult because his ult is honestly not something I really should need to talk about on like particular maps. Like for the most part, like you're just going to use it when you're under pressure, and then an attack you're going to use it when you want to go and take a site. It's fairly simple to understand and a universal really. Obviously it has its bad sites and its good sites, but usually that comes from, at least for me, after playing a lot of the map. So I can't really tell you on Lotus right now, but maybe in the future I'll have more of an opinion on like what I think is the good maps to ult with on KO. But right now we're going to go on to attack, and we're going to talk about A, I think. Actually, we'll talk about B. We'll talk about B first, because B I think is the one that I know the best with KO. So At least for attacking. So I've got two lineups. One for knife and one for fragment. We'll go over knives first. So first of all, you can do a knife here like this for anyone that wants to play close. Maybe there's a sage that likes to wall this early, and what you can do is you can silence her and try and put some pressure on her by destroying the wall, and then like throwing in a flash through like this, or flashing like this, like close, over the wall or something. That's also possible. Maybe you hear her go into that, like the box near, or like near the box, so you can enter flash off, and she's going to be very dead if she's there. Next knife, sorry, is going to be this knife. So you want to just aim it where the root starts to have like a little bend here, and then just jump through. Left click, and it should land basically in the middle of B site. So it fully scans B site, and this is one of the biggest things with KO on this map. I think is quite important. He may not be played 100% of the time, as usually like some people like to have some of Breach's utility or something to set them up, or usually they may go towards the two reveals. Maybe they'll go towards Sky a bit for the dog and the two flashes. I can also like bend around corners, get information, and maybe pivot into like healing at some point, again like additional value from healing. But KO is like really strong on this map because he can basically fully cover every site with his knife. The only exception being like A, it's a bit awkward because you don't really want to cover the site. You want to try and take the A main space, and he is pretty good at covering this space with his knife. So he's pretty good overall on this map. And so I'll just quickly show that again. You just want to do a jump a left click at the root, and it will land in the middle of the site. And then the next thing we're going to talk about is flashes. We've already talked about flashes, really. You're just going to flash like this. It's probably the best flash, but you can also do a deeper flash like this. And that's basically it for KO's flashes on B site. I don't really have any others. You could probably do like a bounce like this, and it could like catch someone off guard if they're wide swinging you here. If you know they're going to wide swing you, like in a post plant situation. Throw this if like they're like peeking you like this, right? And then like go back in, and then they might try and wide swing you, and then they're going to wide swing into the flash. It's very, very weird. You can always do a pop flash instead. It's probably a lot easier to use overall. And the next thing is fragments. So you can use fragments to sort of like flush people out of their positions, like I've said with the sage here, potentially if there's someone there. You can do it like to just stop people from re-entering, like peeking any smokes. But this KO really benefits from having the fragment as like a tool to get into the site rather than a tool to the post plant. I mean, he does have the option to, but using it on the fly and using it to take space is probably what most KOs I see use it for, and I think it is like one of the better ways. So the lineup for this is to basically aim at this corner and just press space and left click at the same time, exactly the same time, and it will go all the way to default. Perfectly. So yeah, that's pretty much a nice lineup. Very easy lineup as well. It's not the greatest, as you are putting yourself in like a position where you won't be able to, like in a 1v2. This is not a great position really, because the additional person can play time with you very easily. In this position, like you need like a flash to try and take the space back. Then you can actually like try and contest the bomb eventually, but. So in a 1v1 though, it makes a lot more sense. This lineup does. Okay, we go to A next. So A is like one where I also have like a little like setup play you can do. So the first thing that you want to do in the setup play is to just knife here, because it will stop a lot of the annoying base taking abilities that could happen. So it won't stop any flashes like the one that you use instead, like an omen flash or something, but it will stop the omen following up with a TP. There's also like Neon will like maybe stun instantly, but then she'll not be able to follow up properly because maybe she'll not quite get where she wants to get to with the lack of running. Because she's silenced, or because she can't slide, she doesn't take a very good fight and is dying on top of this or something. But essentially, it will just stop more follow up. Bear in mind that the Fade and the Raze would have already thrown their util here, so you need to be careful. But for the majority of the time, like this is going to stop any follow up to like those players, and it can even stop people from getting into a position to follow up. So the Omen TP or the Neon running, there's a chance it stops them from getting into a position they wanted to get to. So you want to do this knife first, and then what I like to follow up with is a flash off this like sort of dark spot with the root. You just run forward and press left click, and you'll bounce up, and it will bounce into like a middle point basically. It'll bounce up to about here, and where I can see is basically where it flashes. So it won't flash behind all this, but this area honestly I don't think is great for the defenders to actually take unless they can like sort of battle for this space. And usually like you can just follow up with this, and so it makes it hard for them to battle for that space, and they're kind of stuck behind this sort of area, and that kind of makes it hard for them because, you know, they can get naded, they can get stunned, they can get flashed very easily in that area. And so I like this sort of set play going into A with KO. Obviously if you don't need to do this set play, then you can do knives like this that will like detect sort of in the corners of A, so in these sort of areas. You can also detect tree as well if you need to, or if you want to. You can detect someone in B, like the B area. Bear in mind it will actually leak into here, so you're probably better off doing something quite close like this. So it doesn't detect everyone. It doesn't detect like all of this in here. It's a bit confusing with these knives lingering, to be honest. I'm sorry about that. It's not really my fault that Riot's bug. It's a bug that Riot made on me. And with the fragments as well, I'm not sure if this is the same as the Viper lineup, but let's test if it's got the same. Yeah, it does have the same projectile as Vipers, so you can use this to like stop people from entering like a smoke that's being put down. You can aim at these sort of vines. That's probably the best, most consistent one. Yeah, there you go. And you can also obviously always flash off like this little area. There's also I don't think I went over. Oh no, I didn't go over that yet. Because that was C. We're going over on C now, because I think I'm done with A. Because I think on A site, like majority of the time, I don't think I need to talk about that much. So on C, there are a couple things I like. So you can do like a deep knife like this. Bear in mind that's going to be easy to hit, but you can do one like on the top, not quite like that, like on the top like this. Okay, a bit higher than that. Kind of like this, right? Because then it makes it hard for them to actually shoot it. They have to kind of go into the angle that they have to peek at to then shoot this, and they're kind of not looking at the people peeking them. So they're basically guaranteed to get silence unless they're maybe playing chamber or jet, and they can TP out or dash out. And then the flash that I like is you sort of aim at this sort of area, like kind of like head height at this rock, and then you want, or maybe just below it, and then you want to run and jump and left click. You want to jump and left click at the same time, and what that does is it makes a pretty cool flash where it doesn't flash anyone peeking this corner, but it flashes any enemies peeking their corner. So then you can like push out and have the flash is about to go off. I mean, it's not great, but it's just like a foolproof sort of thing where your teammate won't accidentally get flashed. But it will still flash everywhere it needs to flash. And also, if you don't be scared, like if you arrive here late, if your team arrives here late and you think there's someone that could walk into this box, make sure you just throw a molly there, because it'll save you a lot of problems if there is someone there. If that is if you are late and you do think there's like a decent chance that could be a read. And then we can move on to like sort of like the C area. And so actually I won't do postman yet. So there is like just some average knives you can throw if you haven't thrown your knives already. So you can do this, and it basically scans all of like the backseat, or like all of like the water, sea site, and that sort of stuff. But you can do one like this as well, and that will scan a lot more, but it won't scan fully. But it probably is overall the better knife. But it doesn't pinpoint as much. So someone can be CT with that knife, and you're not going to get in this corner. But the other knife didn't anyway, so it should be fine. I think both knives have merit and good. This one is more likely to get destroyed. This one's very, very unlikely to get destroyed. So this one's probably the safer option majority of the time. You can do flashes into a slide like this, or you can do them like quite low, so then they like that. You can do them quite low, so they actually detonate behind the railing for you, but on top they always get flashed. And you can also make sure if you want to do, if you want to stop people from sitting in the bend here, you can bounce a fragment off here, and then it would like stops them from being able to sit in that bend. So they either have to run out and peek you or sit behind this box, and with which I think is wall bangable. Yeah. and although I have to come all the way around here and can't peek you as you take water, which is quite good. And then there's also flashes for teammates already up, like in the bend going up the stairs. You can do like right click flashes for them to take the space above them. It will flash people CT. It might flash some people that are kind of on this ramp. But a really good flash. So if your teammates are going to come up here, and you think they're going to fight waterfall, then you can bounce a flash like this. And once again, it won't flash them because it will detonate here. Your teammates won't see it, but it will flash everyone in waterfall, aside from people in this corner. And people like about to peek in that from that corner as well. You can also, you can also, if there's a decent chance that they'll probably come from CT or something, or that you just want to buy time from CT, maybe you don't have smoke died early in the round, you need to buy time for your teammates to get on site. Maybe you can send the flash through CT like this. Is also possible. Stop people from peeking CT instantly, so you can get into like a position to plant like this, and then for someone to hold as well. So maybe there's like a timing where you need to have that space covered for like 2 seconds while these people get into position to cover this area. And that's basically it, I think, with KO. I don't think I have any more. Thinking about it, I don't think I do. No, I don't think I do. Okay, yeah, that's the end of the video. So hopefully you learned something about KO on this map, and hopefully you're going to be able to implement him pretty well in your games. If you have anything that I didn't actually include, then feel free to comment anything I missed, or anything you think is like pretty cool, or like any lineups, things like that. And don't be afraid to put them in the comments. If you like the video, then give me a like, and if you want to see more, then subscribe.